Imagine waking up to the roar of a bulldozer tearing apart your sister's lifeline, her wheelchair ramp, while the HOA boss stands there grinning like he's just won the Petty Tyrant Olympics, then slaps her with a $2,200 bill for the service. But here's the twist that still makes me chuckle in disbelief. That helpless sister controls millions in funding for clowns like him. Buckle up, folks, because this tale of suburban sabotage turns into a masterclass in karma, where the rule-obsessed bully gets schooled by the very system he worships. Let me paint the scene in Willow Creek Estates, a cookie-cutter suburb in Ohio where the lawns are greener than envy and the rules are thicker than a phone book from the 90s. It's the kind of place where neighbors wave hello but whisper complaints about your mailbox color behind closed doors. My name's Alex, and I'm the guy who fixes things. Literally, as a plumber who spent 2 decades unclogging more than just pipes. 3 years back, after our parents passed in a freak storm, they left my sister Elena and me their adjoining bungalows on Elm Lane. Elena's always been the brainy one, buried in what she calls dull policy gigs for the state. She'd hole up in her home office, murmuring about budgets and oversight on calls that sounded like white noise to me. I figured she was just another cog in the government machine, pushing papers and attending Zoom meetings about nothing exciting. But oh, how wrong I was. Fast forward to a year and a half ago, when fate decided to play dirty. Elena's car got sideswiped by a texting driver at the local strip mall intersection, the screech of tires and crunch of metal echoing like a bad omen. She spent months in rehab, emerging in a wheelchair, her legs betraying her but her spirit still sharp as a tack. The hospital hallways reeked of antiseptic, beeps drilling into your skull. But when she finally rolled home, I knew I had to step up. I built her a ramp that was a work of art. Gentle slope, grippy surface, railings that blended with the house's trim like they were born there. The whir of my saw and the scent of pine shavings made it feel like I was handing her back her freedom, one nail at a time. Shelled out $7 grand, but her grateful smile? Worth every penny. City permits? Check approved in a flash. HOA, I assumed the city looped them in. Silly me, thinking bureaucracy had a shred of efficiency. Enter Victor Hargrove, the HOA president who's basically a walking citation waiting to happen. This 42-year-old accountant relocated from a ritzy enclave upstate, turning Willow Creek into his personal fiefdom. Divorced recently. Big surprise, given how he patrols with a tape measure, finding folks for blades of grass daring to grow over 2 inches. Picture him. Starched button-down over pleated pants, driving a spotless black Audi that probably gets waxed more often than he smiles genuinely. His voice, a whiny drone that turns community standards into a threat. We must maintain order. He'd preach at meetings, eyes gleaming like he's guarding the gates of heaven from unruly sinners. That fateful morning, the bulldozer's growl shook me awake at 6 a.m. I rushed out to see Elena, still in her nightgown, wheeling to the door just in time to watch her ramp get mangled into splinters. Victor stood there, clipboard poised, smirking as if he'd caught us red-handed in a heist. Non-compliance with architectural guidelines, he intoned, handing her an invoice for $2,200 like it was a birthday card. The air stank of exhaust and injustice, Elena's eyes welling up silently. Turns out, the HOA notice went to the wrong address, 246 Elm instead of 264. Honest mix-up? Victor waved it off. Rules are rules, no exceptions, he said with that faux-polite tone, ignoring her pleas for a grace period. Daily fines kicked in at $150 a pop, stacking like bad karma. What gutted me was Elena's reaction or lack thereof. My firecracker sister, who once argued down a room full of skeptics in college, just nodded meekly. How do I settle this? She asked softly, wheeling back inside. I thought the crash had dimmed her fight, but nope. She was already plotting. Behind her door, those policy calls shifted tone. Whispers about grant audits and discrimination protocols. I assumed lawyer shopping. Little did I know she was sharpening a scalpel. 72 hours later, Victor struts up with his sidekick, a greasy attorney named Lyle who reeked of cheap aftershave and looked like he advertised on bus benches. Alex, Elena, Victor greeted with a grin that screamed gotcha. Time to address this unfortunate situation. Unfortunate? She couldn't even leave her house without crawling. Lyle slapped down papers. $3,800 owed. Lien imminent if not paid. They called my city permits bogus without HOA blessing, threatening to yank my plumbing license. We're all about fairness here, Victor added piously, while Elena sat trapped by his handiwork. The hypocrisy burned. Here he was, preaching order to a woman he'd stranded. That's when my plumber's instinct kicked in. When pipes leak, trace the source. While Elena murmured on another call about federal strings attached to funds, I hit the public records office. Under buzzing fluorescence and the musty odor of old files, jackpot. Victor's own patio extension, rushed through Sans review, jutting 2 feet over setbacks. City code violation, folks, and get this, 5 other neighbors got slaps on the wrist for similar slips. Grace periods, no fines. But us? Dawn raid. Selective enforcement at its finest, which I recalled voids HOA power under Ohio law. Fascinating, Elena murmured when I showed her, her eyes glinting like she'd expected it. Another call ensued, fragments about patterns of bias drifting out. The neighborhood buzzed like a hive poked with a stick. Old Mrs. Harlan filmed from her blinds, amassing footage worthy of a docuseries. Joe from the auto shop swung by with free bolts, grumbling, "That Hargroves measured my fence twice this month. Someone's got to deflate his ego." Anonymous notes appeared. "You're not the only targets." A quiet rebellion brewed, with Elena as its unwitting mascot. But Victor amped up, fines hitting $4,500. Filing complaints to suspend my business. Protecting our community's integrity, he emailed the block, painting us as scofflaws. Elena, meanwhile, compiled a dossier like a pro sleuth. Timestamps, emails, precedents. "Patience, Alex," she'd say calmly when I fumed. She wasn't defending. She was arming for annihilation. 2 weeks on, Victor stages a circus at the community hall, reeking of burnt coffee and tension. 40 residents pack in under humming lights for his standards symposium. PowerPoint ready, he clicks through ramp wreckage pics like trophies. "This eyesore endangered our kids," he declared, ignoring its ADA perfection. Certain individuals believe they're above protocol, then cry foul. His glare at Elena screamed accusation. She jotted notes serenely, like observing a lab rat. I rose with my bombshell. "Rules cut both ways, Victor," I said, projecting his patio pics. Gasps rippled. I unpacked the selective enforcement. Harlan's late-approved gazebo, no penalty. The Lee's unpermitted swing set, friendly nudge. Demolition derby. When HOAs play favorites, they lose teeth. State law says so. Victor slicked back. Mine was verbally cleared, old board. No proof, of course. Then his cronies, 4 flippers buying up lots, voted to table hiking fines to $400 daily. Gavel down like our doom sealed. But Elena wheeled forward. Intriguing how funded associations must heed disability laws. She mused mildly, quizzing on grants. Victor's cheek twitched. The air crackled. Post-meeting, alliances formed. Neighbors confided. Fines for offensive bird feeders. Threats over kids' lemonade stands. A Facebook group ballooned to 150 overnight. Harlan's videos going viral locally. Reporter Mia probed HOA books. Victor's shirt seemed tighter. Fines topped $6,000. He deployed rent-a-cops for safety patrols. But Elena's calls? CO-level strategy, positioning pawns he couldn't see. 3 days later, Victor goes nuclear. Inspector red tags Elena's home for inaccessibility. The irony. Complaint filed. The guy muttered, ashamed. Then a restraining order on me for threats. Public evidence now harassment. Sheriff served it awkwardly. Lawyer games, sorry. Victor smeared us as grifters backed by activist groups ruining family values. My trade smarts shone. Follow the cash. Elena on a call about fraud probes. I unearthed Victor's firm snagging every HOA gig. Inflated. $40,000 landscaping. Market $12,000. Bogus repairs. Kickbacks galore. Tied to grants. Federal felony bait. Useful. Elena purred. Smile shark-like. Her calls? coordinating takedowns. The hood turned bunker. Victor's cams everywhere, guards knocking wellness checks, intimidation veiled as concern. Victor's paranoia peaked with a town safety summit at City Hall, inviting brass and press for our exposure. Flyers libeled me as violent, Elena as a fraudster, funded by radicals destroying suburbia. I prepped emotional pleas, rallying 40 supporters, boss, minister, neighbors. But Elena orchestrated backstage. AG agents incognito, media packets timed, feds on standby. Victor's hubris? Delusional. His connections, local pals, would back him against moochers. Partners arrived for his win. City Hall crammed 110 strong, sweat and cleaner mingling. Victor launches. Addressing the rot in our values. Flashing ramp ruins. This hazard threatened order. Demands banishment, finger jabbing. Rules for all or chaos. I testified raw, her crawling stairs, financial ruin, home jail. Crowd squirmed. Mayor grins. Special guest monitoring this. Silence. Governor Elena Whitaker. Gasp tsunami. Victor pales rainbow-hued. Cameras whirl as Elena wheels up. Mr. Hargrove, you've tormented Ohio's governor for months. Enlightening? Pandemonium. Cheers. Victor Mutefish. I oversee $40 million HOA funds yearly, including your $220,000 grant. ADA mandates you've trashed. Legal blitz. AG serves subpoenas, marshals warrants, suits announced, audits freeze assets. Victor babbles denials, threats. Security hauls him ranting. Ovation thunders 5 minutes. Board quits. Harlan elected interim. Group erupts online. Story goes national, governor versus bully. Week later, neighborhood rebuilds ramp. 52 helpers, donated goods, barbecue scents mixing with sawdust. Joe's wiring, transforming shame to pride. Victor's fallout. 15 months fed time for fraud/rights breaches. 2 years probation. $200,000 restitution. Firm bankrupt. License yanked. He flees, stigma trailing. Community blooms. Harlan's reforms favor support over nitpicks. Potlucks replace patrols. Values up 15% from kindness rep. Statewide. Elena's Act mandates rights training. Ombudsman with bite model for 14 states. I pivot to accessibility plumbing, aiding families. Elena's ratings soar 68%. Our bond ironclad. She's the protector now. Stolen funds fund upgrades. 10 homes ramped. Garden thrives. Annual Access Fest draws crowds. Media. Mia's award probe exposes abuses in 19 states. Doc, leveled teaches rights. A year on, Elena glides her ramp, plaque honoring resistors. Kids play there. Flags wave over a kinder hood. Harlan's cams catch joy. Joe's shop plans progress. So, was Victor the real victim of overreach, or just a bully hoist by his own rules? Drop your take. Does power corrupt, or reveal?